Welcome into the Poetry Tavern, a place to discuss both reading and writing poetry, spotlighting new poems and ideas every week. Hi all, welcome into the Poetry Tavern. I'm your host as usual, Charlotte, and this week we're doing poems about stars. It was a lot of trying to pick out poems that were actually about stars this week in my research, and not just about space in general. Because when you look at poems about stars, it gives you a lot of poems about planets and space, which, is fine. They're good poems. They're just not about the thing I picked as the topic. Before we go on a whole tangent, let's just dive straight in. So, our first poem is called Stars and Planets by MacCaig. Trees are cages for them. Water holds its breath to balance them without smudging on its delicate meniscus. Children watch them playing in their heavenly playground. Men use them to lug ships across oceans through berths. They seem so twinkle still, but they never cease, inventing new spaces and huge explosions and migrating in mathematical tribes over the steppes of space at their outrageous ease. It's hard to think that the Earth is one. This poor, sad bearer of wars and disasters, Rolls-Roycing round the sun with its load of gangsters, attended only by the loveless moon. What is so fun about this? I mean, it does peter off to be about planets at the end, so maybe I'm breaking my own rule a little bit, but I really like it. I really think it's fun. But the idea of the sort of Earth as having its place in this massive galaxy and universe, and I feel like a lot of the time we are down here looking up and going, wow, look at all that out there, and it can sometimes make us forget our place in all of it. But like Rolls-Roycing around the sun just did something to my brain that I thought was really interesting. And the dichotomy, am I using that word correctly? Anyway, the contrast between children watching them and men using them to lug ships across the ocean, and it's like talking about this idea of stargazing compared to charting the stars, and like the difference between the heavenly playground and the dark ocean of the sky. I mean, that's not specifically what we're referring to in that moment, but it just is such a nice, really like vivid image in my brain. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just really love the stars too much. Yeah, and Twinkle Still was just such a specific turn of phrase that I was like, oh, that's juicy, and like this idea of like there is something mathematical happening, but it is this almost like new and never ending, never stopping, like just it's just such a nice, and it's condensed as well. It's like not. It uses words with such efficiency that I think is just really magnificent. Okay, so that brings us on to our next poem, which is When I Heard the Learned Astronomer by Walt. When I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were ranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I sitting heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, how soon unaccountable I became, tired and sick, till rising and gliding out I wandered off by myself in the mystical moist night air, and from time to time looked up in perfect silence at the stars. Okay, this one is short and sweet, and like so. Again, I think sometimes I find myself inexplicably awed by certain poems, and the way this one just like it starts in this very rigid space of all of this intellectual, like the proof and the figures and the columns and the organisation of it all, and then to just go out and look at the stars is a very different thing to studying them, because there is sort of a magic in like removing all of this scientific and all that's like just looking up at the stars. It feels like in this poem it sort of goes quiet because it sort of breaks itself up less, and it's becomes this quiet like reflection on the stars are there and it's quiet and beautiful, and like mystical is the word it uses, even without all of this knowledge within it, which I think is really fun, and like it's so sweet, and like maybe it's not intended to be sweet, but I just read it and I just it's so cool. Anyway, before I just keep making noises, I'll stop there. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our episode. I appreciate you all coming along with the ride. I will endeavour to find poems about planets next week, because honestly, like, this was fun, but I found some really fun planet ones, and I was like, ooh, let me dig into that a little bit. But yeah, we're looking at a shorter episode this week because the poems are relatively short, and I didn't have sort of a lot of detailed things to say, but I did enjoy it. I had a good time. Maybe that's the important bit. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week for planets.